evening. How do you recap 4 years and 4 ministries? 4 minutes when you've been in ministry for 4 years. That's a lot to try to cover, but I will do the best I can. 4 years ago, as Dick was sharing, that we stood here and we shared our story of what had happened to us in the past. And just really brief, we have not been able to have children on our own, so we were in the process of adopting 3 girls, and that didn't work out. And then the church that we served at for 16 years, there was some betrayal there. And so we were in a really bad place mentally and emotionally and borderline spiritually. And so at that same, and about that time was when we were introduced to Barnabas Ministries. And it came at the perfect time because we were in much need of support, and we got that through Dick and through the leadership team and through other pastors. Well, shortly around that time, we had just taken over a church that was struggling for, a couple of years. There was only 10 people, and it didn't seem much, but for us, it was a precious gift because we were in such a bad way that God knew that we needed healing. And so he brought Barnabas, and then he brought our church. And so at the time, the church was 10, and so I'm happy to report that 4 years later, we have just moved into our own building, and Dick was able to come and share in our dedication. We've had, the Galanis are there also, and so God has done amazing things. And at that time, 4 years ago, when I stood here, all I could share was the pain and the wounds that were in my heart. 4 years later, I can just rejoice in what God has done, how he has redeemed the brokenness and the things that were our experiences, and he has redeemed that, and we're bringing fruit. And so I am just here to say that Barnabas has walked that journey with us. They were there in the brokenness, and then they were there when we were rejoicing. And so we are extremely thankful for this ministry for walking the journey with us. It wasn't just in a time of need, but also in the high times. And so we're extremely thankful. Thank you.
Bless the Lord. Amen.
Amen.
I just want to share 2 thoughts with you on the ongoing ministry that Barnabas has had in my life. But before I do, I think it's important for you to know that something very personal that most people don't know is I spent a lot of years in prison. And I was only recently released about 4 years ago. And so let me see if I can illustrate that with a man that was coming to our church for a while. He had committed a crime, and he went to trial, and he decided to take a lesser charge, but that meant 5 to 7 years. And so he went off to prison, and he's been there for the last 4 years. So my wife and I visit him every month, and we have been doing that for the last 3 years. And so I asked him, I said, Randy, what's the hardest thing about being in prison? And he said, it's the disconnect from the rest of the world. And so I could relate to that in some ways. I had not been in a penitentiary, in a prison like he's in, but I was in a prison, a very serious prison for pastors, a disconnect from the rest of the ministry world. And so I was isolated to myself and in a very dangerous place. And so Barnabas has, since the beginning, and continued to be an ongoing blessing for me because it has opened me up to the rest of the ministry world. And so my interaction with my John 17 and the retreats that we do and all the other activities has caused me to but be very cautious of the pride that enters into my heart and all of that isolationism that I struggle with. I'm the type of guy that is a survivor, and I just get focused on something and I just start going fast and furious straight forward. And that's dangerous because I don't open up as much and I don't talk and all that kind of thing. And my wife can testify that my marriage has been like that at times. I just get in my own zone. And so Barnabas has helped me to get out of that and to see all of the rest of the ministry world that's around me. And it really has blessed me. The other thought was that Barnabas is ongoing in a very precious way to me because it has exposed much of the Christian church in New England in a positive way because God is doing great things in New England. Amen? Amen. He is. There's some wonderful, wonderful pastors that love Jesus and are walking in his ways and trying to be faithful to him. But the other thing is that there are a lot of pastors and a lot of churches, and the state of Christianity in New England is very, very dark at various places too. And so I have to take an honest look at what is going on in New England, positive and negative, and this ministry is honest with that revelation. And so it has helped me to get a burden for the church in New England. And not just a burden for my own ministry, but a burden for the corporate church throughout this land. And you know what? I believe, and I know that you believe too, there could be another revival and another awakening like in the days of Edwards and Whitfield. And that's what we're praying for. And so thank you, Barnabas, Dick, and the rest of the team for helping me the last 5 years to get out of my own ministry world and to look at a larger world than my own, and also to have a burden for New England and the church. The church is coming back, and it's going to come back. Edwards believed that. He believed before the second coming of Christ that there would be another revival in New England, and I'm believing that. So thank you so much, Dick, and the rest of Barnabas. Appreciate it.